Welcome to the Eat Your Elephant podcast. This podcast is here to help you to set goals, take action, and enjoy life. I'm your host, Nick Mazie. I'm glad you're here. If you have big goals that you want to accomplish in your life, things that you want to achieve, adjustments that you want to make, improvements that you want to happen, benefits that you want to experience, then you might just be in the right place. I hope you are. Well, this is the Eat Your Elephant podcast, because you can eat an elephant one bite at a time. You can conquer your big goals one step at a time. It's all about developing that helpful mindset and then backing it up with necessary action. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're striving to conquer your goals. Hello, welcome to the Eat Your Elephant podcast. I'm Nick Mazie. Glad you're here and joining in today. Hope your summer's going well. Maybe you're making some progress on some of your big goals, or maybe you're just having some fun. Well, summer's a good time to do both of those, so I hope you're enjoying what you're doing. And even if you're just enjoying yourself, having a great time this summer, we're still going to talk about the goals today because that's what we do on this podcast. So let's dive into today's episode. We're talking about reviewing your progress to see where you're at. Have you ever had that feeling where you're striving and you're working and you're trying to achieve this goal of yours, but you don't really see much progress at the moment? Well, if you ever had that feeling, no, first of all, you're not alone. It happens, and that's what this episode's about. There's a funny thing about progress. Sometimes it's there, and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it seems like we're not making any progress, and we're just working hard and treading water. But we actually are making progress, and there is progress there. And now, and then other times, it's the exact opposite. It feels like we're making a ton of progress and we're moving forward, but honestly, we're not. For me personally, I don't want to feel like I'm getting nowhere when I actually am, or I don't want the other side. I don't want to feel like I'm making a ton of progress when I'm really not. Well, I want the same thing for you. I want you to know where you're at, and to appreciate the progress that you've made, that you've actually made, and have a clear picture of what that looks like. Because being busy, and doing things and keeping up with life and responsibilities, it can feel productive. It just might not have the pleasant reward of actually getting the things done that we want to get done. But that being busy piece, it's really deceptive, and it feels like productivity and being important because we're busy. And it feels like that in the moment. And that's exactly why we need to do a check-in. We got to check in on where we're at, where we're going. We got to do this every now and then. It doesn't have to be a huge, big, drawn-out deal that takes a long time. But it can be very helpful, very powerful, important, and rewarding. So one quick thought on your goals before we do the check-in on your progress is just think about your goals. Look at your goals. What are you working toward? It's hard to determine if we've making any progress or how the progress is going if we don't look at the goal, what the objective is, what we're striving to achieve. So look at your goals. And one thing you can also do to help kind of refine that goal, and when you're understanding it, is to think about, is it a habit or an achievement? The goal that you're working toward, is it something that with an end result that you want to achieve or obtain? Or is it a new behavior that you want as a habit? Like a habit goal might be eating 5 dinners a week at home that are healthy, or exercising X number of times a week. Anything like that could be a habit. A goal would be something that you'd want to obtain. Like if you wanted to save a certain amount of money, that would be an achievement goal. The habit goal would be putting away so many dollars a week. So just kind of thinking about if it's a behavior that you're trying to have or an end result. And that'll help you when you're starting to look at your progress. All right, now, so you've thought about your goals a little bit, what that result you're going for, that habit that you want. And you've looked at that for a minute. Now it's time to check in on your progress. A simple check-in, reviewing the progress that you've made, it can help you to actually make more progress because it kind of, gets clear on where you're at, but it also can help you to enjoy it too. Because imagine this for a moment. Imagine that you feel like you're making progress towards your goals. You even see the improvements that you've made so far. You're able to notice when you need to make a little shift in your focus and your actions to help keep you on track and moving forward. After you make that little adjustment, you're back on track, you're moving forward, and you're feeling good because you're getting closer to that goal that you're working toward. You know where you're at, you know what you need to do, you know the next steps that you need to take, and you begin to take them. You see how far you've gone, and you know how far you have to go. Doesn't that sound like a great place to be? When you look at your progress that you're making, it can help you to appreciate all the effort that you've put in and all the work that you've put in too. And that's huge. Acknowledging what you've done so far and appreciating it, it's so valuable. It helps you. It helps you on the inside, helps you feel good, helps you stay motivated, moving forward, focus on that goal because you see the progress that you've made. Seeing the gains you've made, even those really small ones, it is really motivating and it helps you keep going. So that's some of the benefit I want you to get out of this little bit of a check-in on your progress. So for the review, here's a few little bullet points on things to help guide you while you're reviewing the progress. First, what are your first thoughts? When you're thinking about the goal that you're working toward, you think about what you've done so far, just what are your initial first thoughts? They can kind of help see how you see it so far. Then, after you think about your first thoughts, let's dive into the successes, the gains that you've made, the steps that you've taken forward. This is a great place to begin to acknowledge, what you've done. Maybe there's been some effort that you put forth, but you've made some progress, you learned some things, you've experienced some stuff. And take all that together. And even if you haven't made a ton of actual progress in the steps that you've taken, but if you've learned and you've been able to improve and refine just a little bit, that is a huge success. So begin to identify your successes and your gains. Then it's time to maybe go on to a little bit of the struggles. What were some of the struggles that you had? Maybe some of the things that didn't work out exactly right. In your struggles, that's going to be a great place to start to identify the ways that you can, make the adjustments to continue to improve. Next, any actual objective, identifiable progress. For a habit, you might be all the times that you stuck to that habit you're trying to develop. If you're looking toward an achievement goal, how close have you gotten to it? If you're trying to, save money, then how much have you been able to save? What's the progress, the objective progress that you've made so far? Next, I want you to think about some of the goofs. We've all made goofs. There are mistakes. I didn't put failures up here, because sometimes we just make a mistake. We mess up on the way to our goal. But you haven't quit, so there's no failure. You haven't given up on your goal. You haven't ruined everything. It's just a goof. So what are the places that you've slipped up a little bit? Maybe you stepped off track. Think about those things because that way you can help avoid them in the future. And then next, just the gut reactions. We've thought about just kind of your first thought, some successes, some struggles, so a little bit of the progress, some of the goofs. You're putting all that together. What's your gut reaction on how you're doing? And one more note on the gut reaction is don't be too hard on yourself. First of all, you're doing a review of your progress, checking in on where you're at, where you're going, what you can do to improve. This is a huge thing. This is amazing. You give yourself credit for this when you're looking at the gut reaction. Don't just look at how far you got to go. We're looking at how far you've come and the effort that you've put into it. Now, I do have a few questions that can help you to kind of add a little bit more meat to this. There's just some questions to help. What have you done? You might write out, some of the things that you've done along the way to make the progress that you've made. What would you like to do? This could be going forward now that you've made some progress. What are things that you would like to do to help keep you moving forward? And then also, what would help? Any resources, people, tools, adjustments. Just think about anything that could help you. Not do the work for you, but to help you to keep moving closer towards your goal. And then lastly, it's just time to put it all together. It's time to take all that stuff that we've just thought about, that maybe you've been written down through the review, through the questions, you're about your goals. Now it's just time to put it all together. It's time to acknowledge the progress that you've made. Acknowledge the effort that you've put in. Give yourself credit for that, for all those things. As you've put the time, effort, and energy, you strive going towards your goal. Even if you still have a long way to go, acknowledge the progress and the effort. That's where it can be really rewarding to help keep you moving forward. If all you do is look at the distance between you and the goal that you're working toward, for those big goals, that can be overwhelming, and it can be defeating, and it's not always very helpful. Looking at the progress that we've made, that's when we acknowledge, hey, we can keep taking steps forward because we've come so far. You can keep making progress and keep taking steps because you've already made some and you've already taken those steps. You can keep doing this. And then when you're putting it all together, also thinking about any little adjustments that you can make. What sort of shifts in focus or actions would help you to keep moving towards your goal, to keep taking steps, and making progress, making your life what you want it to be. This is when it's your goals. It's about you having the life that you want. So it's definitely worth it. And it's worth making any little adjustments. It does take effort, but the effort does pay off. You looked at your goals. You reviewed some of the progress. You've gotten some of this information together. You've put it all together. And now, what will you do? Are you ready to do this? Is it time for you to check in and review your progress? Well, if so, I hope you take full advantage of it. Make the most of your time, have your goals and go achieve them. And that's all I want for you. Well, thank you for listening. This was the 79th episode of the Eat Your Elephant podcast. So what that means is if you want the show notes and the post for this, you can go to nickmazy.com. You can just search for 79 or, review your progress. It'll come up with this post. And as always, there's more resources on there. There's some great books that I've gotten a lot of value of. You can check out that list too. You can listen to podcast episodes on the Facebook page at the Eat Your Elephant by Nick Mazy. You can listen to them on LinkedIn, on YouTube. You search anywhere for Nick Mazy or Eat Your Elephant. Thank you for listening. Take care. I'll talk to you again soon.